So the topic today, I'm gonna revert back before I get started talking on the topic. I usually forget that part about introducing myself. My name is Stacy, and I am a nonprofit coach and consultant. I help small businesses, nonprofit organizations, and social enterprises grow through strategic planning and capacity building. A lot of times, organizations they're in a rut because they don't understand there's that thing with nonprofits that they are businesses and they need to function as businesses. And that's where I fit in. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And let me tag followers on Facebook. But if you're watching on TikTok, go ahead and say hi in the comments. I just started going live on TikTok and not the same as Facebook, but we're going to make it work. And if you see like white stuff on my fingers, I decided to patch the walls this morning, so don't judge me. Anyways, all right, so we're gonna keep it moving. So usually a plan that no one uses in your nonprofit organization. Hey, Safar, hey, Harold, hey, John. A plan that no one uses is just expensive wishful thinking. Now, what I mean by expensive wishful thinking is like your organization like pays a lot of money to have certain plans put in place. Like I have clients that I'm doing a strategic and operational plan for, and that's not cheap, right? Because there's a lot of research involved, there's a lot of interviewing involved of stakeholders to put these plans together. And the part that a lot of people forget when they do a strategic plan is the operational part, right? If you do not have a plan to put the strategies together and you don't have an operational plan, then it's just expensive wishful thinking because the strategy is the thought of how you're supposed to get all these things happening, how you're supposed to accomplish your mission, right? So most nonprofits, if they have a strategic plan, you might not need a new strategic plan. You need a 90-day or longer operating plan that your team can actually follow. Okay, so that's why we need to stop glamorizing big plans and start focusing on what actually gets implemented. Because if you have an organization and in no way the strategic plan is being put in place because nobody knows what they're doing, right? It makes no sense. Then again, it's a waste of money. So you've got the strategic plan, you've got the vision, you've got a list of programs and funders you want to reach out to. But when I ask you, what are your top 3 goals this quarter, you hesitate. That's a huge red flag. Because the thing is, if you really understand your strategic plan, the vision, and what you're trying to accomplish, your 3 goals will not be something that you hesitate on. You will understand what those are, and you will know how you're going to work to get to these goals. Now, that's the part that's what I want to make sure that we talk about. Let me share this on, I forgot to put this on my Facebook group. But essentially, these are the things that you want to ensure that your nonprofit is very, very keen on and understand, because your team is going to be stuck in a reaction loop if you don't understand what your goals are and how to put the plan, whatever plan you have, into action. Because when you are busy but nothing's happening, a lot of people, they're busy and nothing's happening because a lot of people, how you doing? Oh, I'm good, I'm just living the life. But then nothing ever changes, right? Like they come to you and complain about the same thing. That's because you're busy but not in alignment with what you're trying to accomplish. Okay, so that's what is killing the growth of so many social enterprises and nonprofit organizations, is that lack of alignment that exists, that there's no real, like I said, you busy and you ain't doing nothing. Let me see. All right. Now, one thing is 2/3 of nonprofit plans are actually never implemented. Because then think about how much it costs to actually put a plan together. Because I've had clients that paid between $8,000 and clients that paid $50,000 for a strategic plan for their organization, right? And 2/3 of nonprofit plans are actually never implemented. So if you think about that statistics, it's either because the goals weren't clear or the team didn't have buy-in. And I tell some of my clients this, if your team or different stakeholders that are included in the plan have no buy-in and no one's tracking anything, it's like you're putting this plan together for no reason. Because who wants a plan that nobody has any ownership of? There needs to be a level of ownership. Hey, Patricia. Hey, Joe. Hey, Rosemary. So you need to realize that when your strategic plan or whatever plan you have in place, like nobody in the team understand what's going on. I had an executive director who hired me for a strategic plan, and when I asked him, hey, who's going to be in this meeting? Like he was perplexed. He was very confused. Like, oh, it's just me and the board. Okay, no, you guys are not the only stakeholders. And that's one thing I want you to realize. It's not only you and the leaders, your team plays a part as well, because they need to be part of the process. They need to understand the direction that the organization is going in and their part in the game. Because if they do not have a part and they do not have ownership of any of the things that are to be implemented, they won't care. Okay. Because at this point, your organization will be underperforming, not because everybody is unmotivated. They're underperforming because the plan is not operational. And that's why it's important to have a strategic plan and an operational plan. You need to know how to put this operation or this strategy into motion, how to make sure it's being implemented. Okay. So that's the first thing about operational plans. Now, most nonprofits, how they do planning, they meet once a year, brainstorm goals, right? I'm going to walk you through what the pattern is so you can try to get yourself out of it. You write it all down in the Google Doc. Everybody does a brain dump, writes it down, right? And then go right back to reacting to fires because it felt good just to get thoughts out, get them on paper, just like journaling feels good for a lot of people. You don't want this to be like another journaling session and then you go right back to the same thing where it's one staff emergency at a time, where this person tells you, oh my God, I have something to talk to you about. And then you get on a call and talk about it. But then nothing that has to do with the nonprofit is ever prioritized on a board where everybody knows this is your goal, this is your goal, this is your goal. Now, I remember a team I was leading as the project director of an organization. One of the project was for it was a project in the state of California, and it had to do with workers, and it was a lot to do with outreach. So the goals had to be set where everybody understood what the goals were and the activities that were needed. Because when I realized when I told everybody what the goals were, everyone seemed and sounded very intimidated. But when I broke down those goals as to, okay, this is what we're doing, this is what we need to do, and this is how we break it into smaller, smaller achievable actions. And I had to ask the team, hey, what do you think you can do to help us get to this goal? Or what are activities that you are good at that you can do to help us get to this goal? Everybody had some creative ideas, and that's the thing I want you to understand. When you bring your team together and you actually have conversations about what the vision and mission of the organization is, you have to be willing to put that on paper and make people accountable and also make something that you follow through all the time. So when you don't do these things by month 2, one thing that can happen, nobody's looking at the plan, right? After you put a plan together and nobody's involved, nobody's going to look at it, right? By month 6, you're totally off track because you got too busy to reset. And that's the thing that happens after coming up with a strategic plan. It's like after everybody goes through the process, time goes by and nobody's doing the work because now it's out of sight, out of mind. It's no longer something that they have to read or participate in. And that's why, like this topic, I talk about operating plan. Like that plan is important because then you can break down the activities that need to occur to match the vision and the strategy. And That's totally something else. That's something I can help my clients with the strategic planning engagement because the operating plan also comes as part of it. Now, by month 12, you're completely exhausted. You don't want to do a thing and you're just repeating the same cycle. If that sounds familiar, that's normal and it shouldn't be, but it is normal. So definitely keep your eye out for things like that because you're going to keep repeating the same cycle over and over and over again if you're not careful. So, a few things that I believe, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about that. If you're live, hashtag live, definitely want to know you're here. Again, social media, the algorithm, if I'm going to be here, I really expect you to engage because that's the kind of teacher that I am. I like educating my audience, but also give some love back, hashtag live, comment, engage, just to make sure the algorithm is doing its thing. Okay. So quarterly clarity creates yearly impact. That's one thing I believe. So there needs to be quarterly, you need to be able to meet with your team quarterly to ensure that the level of clarity still exists, right? And making sure that your nonprofit organization is continuing to go in the right direction. So that's why I teach nonprofits how to build 90-day operating plans, even though it's not the full thing, 90-day operating plans that are going to guide action, not just intention. Okay. Because intention is great, but without action, it's not going anywhere. It's just pretty ideas. Okay. So a 90-day plan isn't about being perfect. So I want you to remember that. There's nothing about that that's about being perfect. It's about getting focus. Okay, so that's the word of the day that I want you to keep in mind. Focus. Yesterday we talked about sustainability. Today I want you to to remember the word focus on top of mind. Now, that's exactly why I created a free community on Facebook called the Growth Minded Nonprofit Circle. Okay, it's for nonprofit and social enterprise leaders that are leading organizations and companies that are generating under $10 million and they're tired of big plans that collect dust because that's the other thing, your plans collect dust, okay? And they're ready to actually operate with precision. Now, one thing that we do, a few things that we will be talking about inside the group is how to build 90-day plans that make sense for your actual team, how to turn high-level goals into weekly execution, and how to track progress without overwhelming your staff. Okay. And the last thing, well, a few more things, and one more example of topics we'll talk about is how to align your budget, team, and programs in real time. Now, if you're interested, if you're watching on Facebook or TikTok and you're interested in joining the nonprofit circle, the Growth Mindset Nonprofit Circle, comment the word group and I'll send you the link to join because it's a free group. So comment the word group if you're interested in joining this group. Now, a quick method for you to solve this one thing and start building your quick 90-day plan. Again, this is going to be taught inside the group and also something I can do for my clients. The first thing is to set priorities. 3 priorities only. I don't want you to go over that. Set 3 priorities for your organization. No more than 3 goals for the quarter. The reason for that is you do not want to have too many goals that you don't accomplish anything. Okay. One of them should be internal, like improving systems or team alignment. You really need to make some goals that are internal, like having goals like just increasing funding. That's not internal. Once you increase funding, how are you fixing the problems that are internal to the company, organization, or whatever it is to ensure that you are actually moving in the right direction. So that's the one thing I want you to keep in mind, right? So 3 priorities only. So step 1, set 3 priorities only. Step 2, I want you to start assigning clear ownership to the activities and priorities that are on this list, okay? You need to have one accountable person, not a group, not the team. One person needs to be responsible for this priority. The reason that you need to make one person accountable is when you tell people, like, hey, you're going to be accountable for this goal, I want you to think about their skill level as well, their skill set and their leadership their leadership capacity, because the reason that I say one person is that person will look at their team members and group and bring that to fruition. You have to be able to trust people that you're working with and people you assign ownership to a certain activity to do the work if you give them the tools to do it. So every priority is going to need one accountable person because that person will be the person that you delegate that to and check back in with to ensure that this priority is being processed and being put together in the way that it needs to. Now, if you're not familiar with program or project management, definitely there are softwares to put those on. I know Monday.com is free for nonprofits. Definitely a tool that you can use to track this information and these metrics for your team when you're doing it. Monday.com for nonprofits is free, so go ahead and check it out and play around with it so you can start setting your 3 priorities, right? Breaking it down into action steps to meet those priorities and assigning an accountable person for it. Okay. Now, step 3, you can build weekly check-ins, and the check-ins, they are important. Hey, Moy. Hey, Maria, Christina. Nice to see you. So you have to build weekly check-ins. They do not have to be long, drawn out meetings. Like, we don't need to do that, right? Schedule 30-minute check-ins every week to track progress, like remove roadblocks and adjust. The reason I say that is because oftentimes the accountable person, like they will look at the activity, hey, were you able to accomplish this? They will say no. You have to ask follow-up questions. Like, okay, what happened there? And is there something that made it hard for you to accomplish? Okay, I didn't have enough time. Okay, what did your time go towards? Is there something we can do to help relieve some of your time? Because this is a priority. This is very important. You have to ask questions to the team members and the accountable person to ensure that this person understands, like, we're not playing around. Okay, because then that's the thing I want these check-ins. You like approach them with empathy, but also leadership and being clear with your team and like for them to see that something is important will get them to take you more seriously and to take the organization and the work more seriously. So these 30-minute check-ins every week, either at the beginning or at the end of the week, makes a difference because then team meetings at the beginning of the week are very helpful, especially if you have a team that's not very motivated. Try to do weekly team meetings at the beginning of the week, top of the week, to get the momentum and the energy going for the week, right? And let everybody know this will be your priority. This is our priority for the week based on these goals, right? And then let's check in on Friday before everybody goes off, to the weekend to see how everything went. Now, these little things, you need to plug them in your calendar to ensure that these things are expected in the culture of your nonprofit organization, because the goal is to have an operational plan that is actually working. If you do not do the work for it to work, right? You don't do the work for it to work. It ain't gonna work. So I want you to keep that in mind. So I give you 3 steps. Now, if you don't do these steps, if you don't take them, that's on you. But I gave you 3. Step 1, set 3 priorities only. You don't want too many because then if you have too many goals, usually what happens, you don't do them, right? Step 2, assign clear ownership to each of these priorities to ensure that one person is accountable and this person will take measures to lead this action plan for this one particular priority, because you don't want to dump too much on one individual. Hey, Roberta. Hey, Robert. And step 3, build weekly check-ins to ensure that you're having these accountability check-ins and seeing where things are. Okay. That's how you're going to move from ideas to execution. Remember, I said just the intention doesn't matter. You have to take action. And that's why I said that. Okay. Now, plans do not fail, right? Because you're bad at leading, they will fail because they're not built for action. So it's your job as a leader to ensure that there is an action component for whatever plan you're putting in place for your organization. Because if you do not have an action component for your plan, it won't go anywhere, right? So the action component, breaking it down, that's why I talk about making sure you have action steps for the priorities you set and your team knows who's accountable, who's responsible for what. And also these weekly check-ins I talked about is important because a plan that is not reviewed is irrelevant. The goal here is to ensure that you're reviewing the plan that you have in place, the operating plan that you have in place to ensure that it stays relevant with the team. This is our focus. If you have an agenda for your weekly meetings, make sure at the top of agenda, it's reviewing our priorities, priority review, and just putting it on top of the agenda. Okay. And do me a favor, get used to turning on a Zoom. If a team meeting is in person, turn on Zoom and have Fathom AI or whatever note taker, and they're taking notes and emailing it to you and making sure that you keep a document with everybody and track. Like if you're not using a project management software, you need these notes because whatever people said in that meeting that they're going to do, the next meeting, you need to make sure, hey, you said you were going to do this, how'd this go or whatnot, follow up with them and see how things are going. Okay, what happened? Like talk to them, review everything to ensure that people are on top of their game, right? And a plan without ownership is just a hot mess, right? Now, let's say that for your plan, um, your goal for quarter 1 is to have, or quarter 2, since we're in quarter 2 already, is to talk to about 300 new people in the community to tell about the program. Now, you just say that's a goal, and not everybody is talking to people. Nobody took ownership of that priority, but you have to give ownership. The reason for that, when everybody is taking care of it, one day you're going to get to it and you're going to, how many people you talk to? Oh, I don't know. I had so much I was doing. I was doing this, doing that, da, da, da. But if you give ownership to someone, what's going to happen is that person is going to take it upon themselves to ask, hey, our goal is to talk to 300 new people in the community. Can you let me know by the end of the day how many conversations you've had? So ownership of a plan or part of a plan is very important. And a plan that is not tied to team capacity is just another PDF collecting dust, y'all. So if you have a plan, it looks like a plan for an organization that's making $1 million and you're only making 50K. Why? That's the only question I have for you. Why? Because I know you have vision. I know you want to live vicariously through the organization you put on the paper, but that's not you. That's not your organization. You need to make sure you have a plan that is tied to your team capacity. Now, if you're a smaller organization, peep what I'm going to say. Like, if you're not familiar with using ChatGPT to its full potential, that's on you at this point. Because if you're a smaller organization, it should be your best friend because you don't have the team capacity. Definitely have a conversation with ChatGPT. Hey, this is what our organization does. This is how many people work on the organization, and be honest with it. Like, I'm the only person doing work. I want to engage my board. I want to activate my board to do the work. This is the name of my board. These are the names of my board members. This is what they do. This is how often we have meetings. This is how I know them. This is how they behave. As a business strategist or consultant, what would you suggest that I do? And watch what it says. Like, I'm telling you, prompt engineering is your best friend right now as a smaller organization. And if you do not know how to do that and use ChatGPT to your benefit to get your nonprofit to the next level, that's because you don't care. Like, as much as you say you do, there's so much happening these days, you focus on what's important to you. Now, if growing is not important to you, it shows because it's not going to happen. That's intentional. And I said what I said, I stand 10 toes down on it. So you're going to need less visioning, less visions and living in a world that is not here because you need to live here in the moment. So that vision needs to be a vision and you need to start taking action for it. Because if you're not taking action to get to that goal that you have or meet that and accomplish that vision for your nonprofit organization, it's not going to go anywhere. Okay. So definitely, if you have any questions about how to operate or how to build your organization from nothing to an organization that's making 6 to 7 figures, definitely join the Growth Minded Nonprofit Circle, which is the new free Facebook community that we opened 2 days ago, right? And we're already sharing so much education on there, and it's going to have so much tips because the one thing I want to do is ensure that the individuals in there are able to share what's relevant to their organization and what they're trying to do. And I can create lessons to educate these folks so they can get to work, right? Because then my goal is to help over 100 nonprofit organizations in 2025 grow grow their revenue and grow their impact. So one way I'm going to do that is through that community. So if you're interested in joining that community, DM me the word group and I'll send you the direct link to join that group. It's called the Growth Minded Nonprofit Circle on Facebook. And yeah, I'll see you there. Now, I'm almost done because then I'm standing up for this live. So I'm going to finish this one. I want you to build the systems before implementing the programs. I know it's hard to hear. Sometimes people want to get funding before doing anything. That's just backwards. Because if you don't have the systems before you implement the programs, it's going to make it very difficult for you to implement anything within your organization. And it's going to make it so chaotic that you're going to be so busy with everything, you're not going to have the bandwidth. You're not going to have the bandwidth to call in anything else, to do anything else that helps you bring in revenue. Because I have one client, well, another client of mine, they are so busy managing the team, right? Managing the team and helping them implement some of the programs that they have no time to go sit in meetings to go meet potential partners and do work that will help grow the organization further. These money conversations are not happening because these leaders, this particular person is not able to do the work they're supposed to be doing, right? As the executive director of the organization, that particular client is not able to sit down and have high level conversations in rooms that are important. They're not able to meet with philanthropic leaders and organizations to talk about their organization. The work that they need to do, they're not doing. So build the systems before implementing the programs. And again, join the Growth Minded Nonprofit Circle on Facebook. Definitely will drop some tips and resources for you to use to get started on that. I also am building some custom chat GPTs or custom GPTs that will help you do that, especially if you're a smaller nonprofit. So join the group because that's the only place I'm going to start dropping them at for people to know about it, because there's one that I'm building right now. It's to help organizations build their systems like workflows and how to onboard and interviewing. So all of these things, those will be included in my next custom GPT. So join the group if you want to have access to that. And oh, the last thing, what else I got for you today? The last thing I have is I know on TikTok you can't rewatch this live, but you can on Facebook, or you can join my, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, as a lot of the lives that I do are uploaded to my YouTube channel. So you'll have access to that there. So rewatch this live, and so you can get the steps on how to build your 90-day operational plan, right? DM me the word or comment the word group to get inside of the Growth Minded Nonprofit Circle, because I want to make sure I send you the link so you can join. If you already looked it up on Facebook and joined, that's great. I will see you there. And I need you to start your first 90-day operating plan, okay? Using this three-step method I just gave you. Start there and then go from there, because then you have to start somewhere, because funding without clarity is a waste, because then you may get the money that you need, but you have no clarity and the money goes down the drain. And when the money's done, you're like, where did it go? We need more. Hey, Jake. Hey, Patricia. So you want to make sure that you have a level of clarity in your organization to help you spend that money in the best way and continue generating revenue. Because another thing that's important to us in our company is diversification, right? Revenue diversification. So we talk about that a lot. A lot of nonprofits need to become sustainable, and that's one way to do it. But today's about operating plans. So remember, growth without a plan is just noise. And if you're growing and you can't reach sustainability, what's the point, right? And you can't be a leader without making sure there's a level of alignment in your organization, because that's just burnout waiting to happen. So I want you to think about all these things. But one thing, the only message to take away today, funding without clarity is waste. So it's in your best interest to start building your 90-day operating plan, because that will make a big difference. And on Facebook, I saw somebody come in, drop hashtag live. I did not see who it was. I want to make sure I say hi and go back and interact with you. But yeah, that's it on my end. And if you have any questions and you're on TikTok, send me a DM. If you're on Facebook, you can also send me a DM or comment, whatever works for you. And if you need the replay, it's going to be on my YouTube sometime soon, but you can watch the replay on Facebook in the meantime. But I hope you have an amazing day. And thank you so much, y'all. Bye.